How's it going out there on this wonderful Thursday? Sorry, I kind of forgot what day it was there for a minute. There's a couple things I got on my chopping block for my discussion today since, well, I decided to do it this way. And the first thing I want to talk about is DACA and Trump and whole Amnesty argument. Now you have two camps essentially right now, with the one camp on the left saying, well, finally we got an agreement with Trump and he's going to allow amnesty for certain ones, basically essentially keeping DACA going. Now, on the right-wing side of it, you have some people that are calling him a traitor and, going against what he originally, what got him voted in the first place, one of the biggest issues being immigration. But I kind of find myself in a situation where I'm like, I'm thinking, like, hold on. It hasn't, the stuff has been suggested, it hasn't been set into law yet, and in the description of a source where President Trump even mentions himself looking to do something about reforming the immigration system. But when it comes down to the wall, as it is, I think a lot of people, when they hear the term the wall, they assume that it means two things. One, that the wall will get built, and two, that the immigration laws that we already have will be enforced on top of that. Because quite frankly, if you just build a giant wall and you don't enforce the immigration laws that are in place, which, by the way, is part of the problem that we have now, and what certain aspects of DACA denied law officials the ability to do, was to enforce the laws that we already had in place that they should have been enforcing. When DACA got retracted by Trump, basically all he was doing was saying, all right, you guys can do your jobs now. But that being said, if it does turn out that it simply gets brushed aside and DACA slowly makes its way back into the fold, then simply having a wall there is not going to do anything, because if they cross over into the border undetected and if they get found while they're in the United States, it's just going to be the same thing that happened before and nothing's going to get done. That being said, I'm less concerned about a physical wall being built than I am about our laws that we have in place actually being enforced and actually being, enacted upon. Rather than, you get caught in the United States illegally, you get arrested, and you get released. Or you get released on the other side of the border just to cross back over the border again with no consequences whatsoever of doing it more than once. But I digress. That's really all I have to say at this point. Until further information comes out and a simple yes or no answer or a law or some form of legislation is actually put forth by the White House, it is all conjecture at this point. And it is all he said, she said, and there's no way of proving any of it. Or, for that matter, there's no law in place to be enforced, so it's essentially a non-issue at the moment. However, I do understand some people's general disdain with the president and the way that he's dealing with the whole wall and the law system. Quite frankly, I understand that and I agree with you to an extent. To the point where, we need to enforce the laws that we have, but also on the other side of things, I also understand that none of the laws, there has been a law put in place by him yet in regards to this, whether or not he completely, comes out and says that no way that the wall is going to get built because you don't have the funding, or we're just going to have to deal with the immigration laws the way that they are. That being said, there's no way of knowing, because there is no such laws put in place. So, moving on to my next topic. There is a black rapper or hip-hop artist. For the life of me, I don't know the fucking difference between the two of them. It all sounds like computer-generated shit to me. But I don't know, maybe I'm just uncultured. But, the rapper's name, xxXTentacion, or I can't fucking pronounce that last name, and that name of his for the fucking life of me. Anyway, you all know who I'm talking about. The guy posted a video of him hanging a white child. Now, I'm all for freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and I do not think in any way, shape, or form that he should not be able to portray that in the art form sense. However, I also do not disagree with the amount of flack he has gotten for doing that, and rightfully so, because, well, quite frankly, it's a pretty fucking scumbaggy and racist thing to do. But I want to propose a question to the unwashed masses, as it were. If the roles had been reversed, if it had been a white adult male hanging a black child, do you think it would have passed as under the radar as this music video has? You know full well that if situations were reversed, the media would be all over that shit if it was a white adult male hanging a black child. If that were the situation, the media would be all over it like flies on shit. But since it's a black man hanging a white child, well, yes, there is, outrage, and rightfully so. But the biggest thing is that most mainstream media just isn't covering it. They're not mentioning it. They're not saying anything about it, which I really wouldn't have an issue with if they didn't. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of the situation, that if the roles had been reversed, they would have been all over it. But since they're not, they can't sell the race narrative that they want to sell to people, which I shouldn't even have to at this point say that they're trying to sell it, because to all aware of SJWs and the fact that they exist, they have already been sold that Kool-Aid and have drank it happily, mind you. The thing, and on top of that, this brings me to something else I want to talk about, and that's race relations in general. Now, I am a firm believer that former President Barack Obama, brought race relations in this country back 50 years. Because, and I'll go into this, because whenever an issue arose where it was somebody shooting a black male teen or young adult, well, teens are young adults, excuse me, a black male of any age for that matter, regardless of whether or not the person doing it was actually white, President Barack Obama was all over it. Now, I understand that, presidents have to play politician, and it has and it's a very political position to have, considering, U.S. politics. But when I think of the president dealing with politics, I tend to think of much more important issues than, somebody getting shot, and considering that this situation could have been taken care of at the local level, and nobody would have fucking cared. But the reason why is because when on top of that, when Barack Obama brought it up, and I'm talking about Trayvon Martin in this case, when he brought it up, he said, "Oh, he could have been my son," and then the media just rolled with it, and it became a catalyst for a whole bunch of shit. And the thing is that all of that, and I shouldn't even say created, but fueled the flames, and it led us down the path that we're at now, where we have two fringe groups, the alt-left and the alt-right, and they want a race war. Both of them, I'm not going to say that all of the alt-left does and all of the alt-right does, no. But there are definitely people within both groups that definitely want a race war. But anyway, I am rambling. So, with that being said, I will see you guys on Tuesday with a response video. And until then, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and or night. And I will see you Tuesday.